So you did the business admin apprenticeship then. So did you actually get through that? Because I remember back in our day, the apprenticeships were mainly just like building, plumbing, that sort of shit. Like now, there's a lot broader, isn't it?
Oh God, it's massive, and I got through it. I was kind of dragged through it, if I'm honest, and it was because my passion went there. For me, a big thing, I've got to be enthused by something to kind of get into it and commit to it.
Like drag.
Yeah, like drag. There we go again. But for me, what really kept me at Connections was it opened my eyes up to all the other opportunities available working within the sector. And that got me looking at youth involvement support work, and then that led me to moving into more young people focus. So I was frontline working with young people. And I think for apprenticeships and things like that they have changed massively, but it's not always about that first step you take.
How so? How have they changed? Because again, like we're of that generation, and a lot of hiring managers are of that generation where apprenticeships were like, I mean, I still call them modern apprenticeships, and they're not modern apprenticeships anymore. They're just called apprenticeships now, right?
Yeah.
And because there was that whole rebrand piece around being called modern apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Like this is, you don't have to kind of hire a graduate anymore, and you've got these skilled individuals that are looking for opportunities and stuff. So how has it changed? Because there are people out there that still see apprentices as like, well, you couldn't get a real job kind of thing, unfortunately.
And I think that the way in which it's changed is to pass an apprenticeship is a lot more difficult these days.
Yeah.
So the way in which the way in which the standards and frameworks have been developed, the old school one, it was very tick box. You'd go in, your assessor would go, show me a letter, you'd go, they wouldn't even check if you'd spelt right on it or laid it out right, they'd just go, he's done a letter, he's competent, and tick. So it was very much tick, tick, tick. Someone would sign at the bottom and you'd get a certificate and you'd be like, yeah, I'm qualified level 2 business admin. But when you look at the competencies, the abilities, the skills, it weren't there. So you had all these people who were qualified, supposedly qualified within a specific discipline, but actually all they'd done is work their way through a process to get to the end of it. So when they changed, all the apprenticeships now, there's an endpoint assessment on it, and the best way I can is it's a bit like a driving instructor. So you have your instructor that does the lessons with you, then you go to the test centre, and it's an external person that's coming in and checking the abilities and competencies, and it's within their best interest to fail them because we've got to pay again for that endpoint assessor to come out. So the importance is on, and a focus is on making sure that apprentice is skilled, they're competent, they understand it. The pressure's on the provider to make sure that they're working with the employer to get them to a skilled end point where they are being signed off.
That's fair enough, and I understand that because there's regulations and there's stuff that's coming in to try and support that sort of scheme, right? But I guess your challenge is always going to be your candidate, right?
Yeah,
your actual apprentice, because in theory, a lot of these guys are school leaves. I know when I left school, I was literally like, I'm going to be a footballer, And then when I got booted off the team, I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to be a footballer then, am I? And
Army it is.
Yeah, well, it was though, wasn't it? Because that was very limited in my options. Because I took, I mean, one of my, I think it was my French, my geography G's. One of them I took piss. Me and all the lads went to the park, and we got drunk, and then we went and did our GCSEs after.
It went well then for you, did it?
I mean, I did all right.
I mean, if ever you got A star, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like weirdly.
We know Mad Dog 2020 is the key to a successful exam.
And if you're an apprentice, you need to listen to No, so I think it was like my geography exam or something like that, and I got like a D or an E or something like that, because that was all coursework heavy anyway, right? So, me going into an apprenticeship where they were like, you need to now learn a new skill to go and do X, Y, or Z. That's the level of candidate that a lot of the times you're dealing with. Now there's exceptions to the rule as there always is, right? You'll always have somebody who's really, really switched on.
Yeah, and I think that there's a place for every route, and I think with apprenticeships it's the same as any other job. There's only so much you can do prior to someone starting an apprenticeship to kind of safeguard that process. A lot of it within recruitment is that there's no special kind of process or kind of sequence to nailing it. You can only ever go with what you know based on your skill set. And I think the beauty within recruitment is it's twofold. So you've got me looking at them from my angle, and then you've got a recruitment company looking after them. So it's almost like you've got two fail safes, and sometimes it may go wrong, but fundamentally, I'm a firm believer that if you've got a young person that already feels on the back foot, they already feel, because they haven't gone to uni, even though they don't need to. You don't need to go to uni to be successful, but societal pressures and viewpoints out there. If your mum's not got a picture of you above the mantelpiece in a cap and gown, you're not successful, and that's absolute cosh. Like, it's rubbish. But a lot of young people who get given an opportunity that engages them and it's what it wants to do, they will grab hold of it. And that they will run with it because it's an opportunity that they didn't anticipate for themselves.
That's fair. Do you think it's fair though to say? I mean, there's certain apprenticeships where you do need to go through the apprenticeship route, right? So take a software developer. I wouldn't hire a software developer with no experience whatsoever.
Absolutely,
I absolutely would hire a software developer who's on an apprenticeship course because it's like, okay, case in point,
you've got some skill set there.
Yeah. Whereas with recruitment, if I'm hiring somebody with no experience, I can hire somebody with no experience without them going through the apprenticeship route. So why would that be a? Why would that be a? And that's not just kind of just recruitment.
No,
There's
absolutely.
Take business admin as well. I don't need somebody to do a business admin apprenticeship to hire them as a business admin, because if they're learning from the ground up, I can teach them what they need to know specific to my business to get them to do the job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I also think there's such a huge thing at the minute about retention of staff and people that jump from pillar to post, and somebody offers them the extra bit of money in their banks and they're moving around and stuff like that. And within recruitment, which is a field we both work in, so many times you hear people coming over, they've got bad habits, they've got things that don't fit within our vision, the way in which we run as a companies, and it's just not working out. So you hear that enough, and then you hear we've got graduate schemes, companies run graduate schemes, and we take on 12 people a year from university because they're graduates, they've got a degree, and the expectations there that they're going to work. Some do, but a lot of feedback has been, you get some that actually think because they've got a degree, rightfully so, to get a degree takes some focus, but that doesn't actually mean that you're going to be good at the point you move forward.
I suppose what it proves though with degrees, a lot of the point of kind of having the degree is being able to demonstrate that you can stick something out for that period of time.
Yeah.
And achieve something at the end of it. So with an apprenticeship, I suppose the difference is that you're asking somebody to do that whilst they're working.
Yeah.
And they haven't had that proven success, have they, in terms of they haven't got the degree at the end of it. Unless you're hiring somebody who's completed an apprenticeship, at which point you can say, yeah, okay, well, this person's seen it through.
Yeah, I think that's fair.